Hello and welcome back to the In My Defense podcast. I am your host, Christian, and boy, have I missed you folks. We have been on a hiatus, but we are back in the new year, 2021. Hopefully it's going to be so much better than 2020 was. Going big places, going to play around with the format, have great ideas for this podcast for the future, and you guys are here for it. And for the first episode of the new year, we are going strong. Stronger than ever. How strong? Superman strong, folks. That is right. We are talking Superman this week. Discussion on whether or not Superman is a good or a bad character. Now, this is something that a lot of nerdy circles discuss sometimes because a lot of people think Superman is boring. A lot of people think Superman is hard to write for. He's not very interesting. I happen to fall on the opposite end of that. I love the character, but nobody wants to hear me gush about Superman. So I brought on my friends Terrance and Marcus to have a little bit of a mini debate, a bit of a discussion as to where Superman stands as a good or bad character. We talk about some of the history of the character, what goes into calling a character good or bad. We provide examples about Superman and try to come up with an idea of whether or not this character is actually good for writing and interesting to read about. Do we have a concrete answer by the end of it? I'm not quite sure. That's going to be up to you guys to decide, but this one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing this episode. It's probably one of the funniest things I've ever produced. Marcus and Terrance are great characters in and of themselves, and if you ever get a chance to see them perform or do anything or follow some kind of project that they might be up to, definitely get at it. In the meantime, though, be sure to like or subscribe. That's YouTube. Be sure to like. That's still YouTube. Be sure to give compliments to this podcast wherever you can in your favorite podcatcher choice. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. We are available everywhere. If we're not, let me know. I will get there. Check out InMyDefensePodcast.com. If you have any thoughts about the episode you want to express on the opinions directly, reach out to InMyDefensePodcast@gmail.com. That's where you can reach out directly with any questions you might have. Might read them out on the show if it's a good one. If you want to apply to be on the show, that's also where you can do so. Let's not waste too much of your time and get right into the episode about Superman, whether he's a good or a bad character. So, I am here with two of my very good friends, Terrance and Marcus. Marcus, say hi to everybody.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever time you're listening to it. Hi, my name is Marcus.
And Terrance, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Two kinds of people.
That was a power move. And I have you guys on for the first time, I'm having two guests on episode because it's something that there's been some contention between us over the last few weeks involving a certain character. We're here to talk about Superman and whether Superman actually is a good or bad character, right? Mm-hmm. And just right off the bat, let's not get into that. I won't even know what Superman means to you guys. Where you guys stand on Superman? So, Marcus, we'll start with you. How do you feel about just Superman in and of itself?
In and of itself, Superman is the epitome of whether we're going to go for a hero. He can be the ultimate good, and through years, decades, lifetimes, generations has been turned into, in certain story arcs, the ultimate bad. I think he's a great versatile symbol for many conversations, many ethos, many ethics that we bring into our life. Lots of pop culture references. Like, you tell anybody almost in any country, hey, Superman, you know what they're talking about. As far as the character growing up, I was definitely highly influenced by Superman. I'm talking birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, lunch boxes, socks, and book bags, and all that stuff. So I definitely was highly exposed to Superman. And then growing up, yes, my father, huge comic book guy. I'm talking like those Rubbermaid storage containers of like Superman comics. So I got to read them, at least the ones I was allowed to open, or the ones I opened without his permission, but I would like usually just tape it right back up. So, Superman's a great character, fantastic. I could definitely, after how much I know about him, I could argue on either side. I can be his lawyer or the devil's advocate. So I would definitely I love debating or talking about Superman. So that's where I stand. Like, he's everything when it comes to being the ultimate hero, or could be the ultimate villain, because he's just that. What's the word? I don't want to be too grandiose. Perfect. He's just that perfect. So that's my point.
And Terrance, what about you? How do you feel about Superman?
I grew up on Superman as well. I had comic books. I had that Superman bed sheet, Superman curtains. I really, really was into Superman. I still am. Don't get me wrong. I will read a Superman comic book. I'll read all of the history of Superman. It's just now, as I started to grow up, I'm like, this guy is the perfect example of mediocrity and just arrogance. And I'm like, geez, how did I not see this before? And I stopped reading it just when I read it, I enjoy it completely. I'll enjoy the entire series all the way to the end. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, but wait a second. Doesn't he can he do that? Why did all this have to happen if he has all of these abilities? And so, yeah, he's become the symbol of mediocrity for me. And I still love reading it, but I look at it through a different lens now.
And I think, and that's what we're here for, right? We're here to talk about through the lens of Superman, who we can't really tell whether he's a good or a bad character. We have to also figure out what that means, right? Because that's kind of a loaded question, since there are different rules that dictate what makes a character good or bad. So even just to start off with this, I just want to make sure we're all we don't necessarily have to be on the same page, but I just want to know what perspectives that we're coming from. So Terrance, when it's like, for me, let me start with me. So for me personally, there are very few characters in storytelling that are as long lived as like comic book characters, right? Like Superman has been around for almost 90 years at this point. And so there's a lot of stuff to work with when we're deciding what counts and what doesn't count. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's easy to take things that are definitely inherently bad. We're introduced to the canon, there are bad writers doing this, bad artists. It's definitely easy to take things that mistakes that somebody made and say, oh yeah, look at this thing that somebody did 50 years ago. Of course Superman's a bad character. This makes no sense. This is horrible, right? And so where I'm at when it comes to deciding whether a character is good or bad is that you take when it comes to the character that's this old, you take what everybody counts. You have to take kind of have to look at what everybody's pretty much decided unofficially that this is what makes Superman is, right, when it comes to this one character.
Accepted characteristics of him.
Yeah. And so that's where I'm going to be talking about, because I do think Superman's a good character. I think he's one of the best characters in just fiction entirely, just because of how malleable the character is, how he fits into different types of stories. Not necessarily what makes him good or evil, but I think being able to tell stories where he's good, being able to tell stories where he's evil, being able to tell stories that are serious, dramatic, funny, silly, those are the things that kind of make a character good, because they're able to be told by a bunch of different people, a bunch of different ways, and still they end up being very good and remembered for the rest of the time, which I think Superman is a long-lasting character. Yes. What about you, Terrance? Where are you coming from with this?
I think he is a great idea, right? I love the idea of Superman. I just think when you end up putting pen to paper with his powers and his abilities and how he actually puts it into use in scenarios, it kind of falls apart, and it makes me just question everything. So I have to just take it as is and be like, okay, this is just what it is. If you try to analyze it, you're just going to get mad. So you just have to enjoy the ride. But you are correct. As a character and as an idea, it's amazing because it is inspirational. He's always, when he does a thing, you're like, wow, yes, we can be better. Or yeah, we can be evil. You have that day. You have that feeling. You're along for the ride with him, whatever he's going through. And then it just, when you stop and just think about it, it just kind of falls apart, and it hurts my feelings that I can't that I can't just stay on that ride with him, you know. So that's where I'm at. I think he is a great idea for a character, and he's a great sort of inspiration if you don't dig in just too deep. You just gotta like not go all the way in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm wondering, we might get into specifics later, so I'm wondering when those moments, because I don't see that really. I don't really see the moments where, what's the word for it, but basically take myself out of the situation to actually believe that this is a thing that is good. Really, like, it's one of those things. It's one like I'm not questioning the character of Superman. Like, and it's not like I'm not questioning that. Oh yeah, man can fly. Yeah, so well, yeah. In this world, a man can fly, or in this world, a person like Superman can exist. No, I think Superman is very much like a real person, just as real to me as you guys or any other fictional character that I really look up to.
Well, Batman's real. I think we all know that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's no question.
That's another podcast. I'm on the opposite end of Batman. I got my own problems with Batman, but whatever. Not hero, sure. Superhero, no.
Okay, that's a whole other. We're just gonna put that in a corner.
Yeah.
Part 2 for this.
That'll be dark. That'll be the dark podcast. In my offense, okay. In my offense,
I am offending you with my opinions. So Marcus, you're coming into this as kind of like, so me and Terrance are on opposite sides of the spectrum, and you're coming in as kind of like not so much a mediator, but someone who is just really excited to talk about Superman. And so, like, do you feel like one of us? Who are you closer to in this particular situation? Like, do you think Superman is a good character, or are you like Terrance, where it's like, yeah, he's good. It's a fun character. It's fun to read about, but he's not really someone that I would necessarily think is like a real person, or someone that I don't know Superman like I know Batman or Jesus.
Okay. So all right. So I wouldn't want to be necessarily too controversial on your podcast, but what I would want to say is that I would say the same. I'm closer to Christian in, I guess, the belief and like an enjoyment of that character, thinking he's great. But also I can understand Terrance's point of view, thinking about the mediocrity. And it's just kind of like, if you analyze it too much, if you have a certain kind of filter, an analyzing filter on the character, it doesn't pass the smell test. I think that's the cliche. So what I see from both of you is kind of like how I would see certain other aspects of life. It's like, I don't want to be controversial, but like, let's say religion. For certain people, if they got a belief in something, like Superman being an amazing character and that's their belief, great. But then if you add science or analyzing to that filter, then it's like, oh, but how can this happen? If this happened, this happened. It's like, okay, but you're not, which on his own, Terrance said the perfect thing. I'll just look at him for what he is, rather than analyzing it, to death, like more. You're like, oh, if he could do this, what about this story? If he could do this, what about this obstacle? Oh, did he have to do all that? Yeah, it's understandable, because for the writers of their time, whether it's the 40s, 50s, all the way to now, they wrote a story for that particular moment, for that story, like for that plot hole. I mean, for that plot, if there's a plot hole, that probably was discovered later, and they keep adding. So to analyze something like that is difficult, because you will never really get the right answer, or at least an answer. You can question it to death, but you'll never really get an answer.
All right, so right off the bat, Marcus is patronizing me. He's humoring my wrongness,
and he's humoring my side as well. I like that. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you for walking that very, very fine line.
It's a fine line
to make everybody angry.
Right? You're right. It is. That's stoking both fires. Yes.
All right. So who do we want to hear from first, though? Right? Because when it comes, like, I think there might be a few things that we also need to just like, which Superman are we discussing in this particular situation? Like, do we have to decide together on what are the aspects of this character that makes Superman Superman? I have some ideas.
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, because you have so many different versions of him. Let's just get like a good standardized, like, what are we talking about overall?
Yeah.
Not saying I'm overly prepared, but I have a couple questions just to kind of help, only because I was under the false pretense earlier that I was to be some version of a mediator, which doesn't really bother me. If I am, I am. If I'm not, I'm not. But this could help narrow down certain.
Look at that list. Can you hold that list up again?
Because
there's definitely at least one full page. I think there's only a few skipped lines. It's definitely
these are the questions. There's like a question. This one right here is a question based on a certain kind of memory that you have of Superman, and then I'm like, wait, what if I'm asked in return that? And then these are like annotations of like side topics of like things.
Yeah, like for anybody that can't see this, it's definitely something that would be accepted as a middle school essay. Like I think that definitely works out.
Okay.
Who was your favorite superhero and why?
Oh yeah. Oh wait, is that? Oh, that's page 2. No.
Well, I mean, let's start with your questions, Marcus.
Okay, good. My first question to Christian: what is your earliest memory of Superman?
I think my earliest memory would be the animated series, the one that came out after the Batman animated series. The Bruce Timm verse, the DC animated universe is definitely like the version of Superman that I ended up having the most familiarity with, and like it was like my introduction into all those characters that were involved in it. Like whenever I read the comics, it is basically in the same voice as there were 2 voice actors that did Superman eventually, but like it's definitely in those voices. I always hear Clancy Brown as Lex Luthor. Like that is that is my version of Lex Luthor from here on out. And then I have some, but I do have, when it comes to controversial opinions about Superman, like because obviously like I had the animated TV series, which ended up becoming Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, and there were the crossovers with Batman and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
But I also have some strong opinions regarding the Christopher Reeve movies, because while I do enjoy those first 2 Christopher Reeve movies,
that question's down here. I
think we're all gonna follow that path with you. Like,
yeah.
But here's where I defer though, because I think the best Superman movie that has ever been made is Superman 3 with Richard Pryor.
Okay, so that is going to be later. But well done.
We're gonna defer that one.
All right. Okay, so
I will say that can end up being its own thing, but that movie is the most tightly written. The script is the most tightly written script out of all the movies that have come out so far, including anything in the Zack Snyderverse. Right? There are no problems. There are no solutions in the Superman 3 that were solved with magic that came out of nowhere. There's no cellophane S. Every problem that was solved in Superman 3 was set up in the first act of the movie. The only time in Superman 3 that you have to like make a leap in logic is believing that Richard Pryor is a accidental computer genius. Yeah. But once you let that go, the movie is almost perfect.
When you say the word accidental, it helps. It helps kind of crutch you along to the.
Well, that's also in the plot of the movie, because Richard Pryor had never touched a computer before he became a genius at them. So he just touched a button and it makes things happen.
This guy, as great as a comedian, stand up and all that stuff, it's like you couldn't even like act like you really knew the computer itself. I'm like, you're a genius. Go ahead. Yeah, he knows a computer. What do you mean he's never touched it? And you really see him like.
Because what do they tell him when he's like writing checks on? I was like, what did you do? It's like, I don't know. I just touched a button and it happened. But like once you let that go, the movie's well shot. It's well edited. It's well scripted.
You have to suspend reality, which is a very huge cornerstone of any movie.
If you believe a man can fly, you can believe that Richard Pryor has computer powers.
Absolutely, that's a great point.
Just go with it.
Okay, so Terrance, same question to you. What is your earliest memory of Superman?
It would be the animated series as well.
Wonderful. Perfect.
Yep. So it's right along those lines. Very similar. Batman and Superman. You know, that's where I got my first introduction, and then back to the comic books and the movies, and yeah. And then I recently discovered there were like Superman cartoons from like the 1950s, and I was like, oh wow!
Oh yeah, the Fleischer cartoons are great.
Yeah. So,
those. Yeah.
So
there's not so much talking, but a lot of action. They really. That's when they really drew like the atomic soldiers, the Death Ray, and they really drew that. I was like, oh, good stuff. All right. Okay. So yeah.
What about you, Marcus? Where are you coming from when it comes to the Big Blue Boy Scout?
I would say my earliest memory honestly comes from definitely like the way I see it, Christmas or birthday gifts, seeing the symbol. Like I saw the symbol usually as like a kid. I would see it on a backpack. I want that. I would hear about it. But yes, I would say in a digital, like visual sensing actual movement, yes, it would definitely be the 1996 Superman animated series. And it was a huge thing because I was like, yeah, that was like, you got to see it in action. And what was great about it is that it coincided with my father with the comic books. So I get to read a little bit and then watch the show. And I was like, wait a second, this guy's known as Parasite. Let me go to find the comic that's about Parasite. This one's about, Lex Luthor. Let me get oh my God, he's everywhere. It's like, what is that? Was that? Oh my God. Superman Adventures. Look at that.
Yeah, I'm holding up Superman Adventures number 27, which is based off of the Superman animated series. This one features Superman versus Superior Man. Who had come to Metropolis to attack. Spoilers for everybody. Superior Man turns out to be Metallo, who was brainwashed by Lex Luthor to make Superman replaceable.
Crazy. You see, and that's a great thing. Like, if they're gonna if they're gonna create an obstacle for Superman, Superior Man, but like, there's so much history and so many like really great founded characters like Metallo, or I gotta ask you about that in a second. But like, great.
I'll get into it because there's a good point to this. A good point. I brought this book out because there's a point to it that I want to bring up later on.
But yeah,
we see where everybody's coming from. But when it comes, so like, obviously, when the Superman animated series is something that we can definitely bring into the canon of the show, because I don't think there's much about that version of Superman that defies the image of Superman that, like, I think most creators that tell stories would consider wrong or misplaced. I think the only time that anybody kind of messed up with that character was in the first season of Justice League, where they used Superman as kind of like the punching bag, where to establish how bad a villain, how big and evil a villain was, the very first thing they would do was knock out Superman.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what prison rules. You gotta beat up the biggest guy when he shows up in prison. Yeah, they're like, you know what? How can we apply this to? Who can we apply it to? Green Arrow, the Flash? No, Superman. That's high level. Yeah, it is.
I think if they had knocked out Green Arrow consistently, I think that would have been very enjoyable. There he goes again, getting knocked out.
You know what? This is such an opposite approach. I mean, this is obviously a tangent. I don't know if this will be cut out, but this is an opposite approach of like Dragon Ball Z, because when Dragon Ball Z shows up with their gang, who do they knock out? They knock out Yamcha, Krillin, Tien. They knock all the guys out, and then Goku eventually shows up, and he's the big bad, and he wins. And it's the opposite. Like, yeah, you're right. It's a punching bag. Is they show up with the side characters, but Superman goes first. Boom, he's knocked out, and everyone's like, ooh, okay, now we're gonna take this seriously.
Because then they have this idea where, like, if Superman's around for this whole fight, why doesn't he just end it in 5 minutes? It's like, okay, then we'll shoot him with like some kind of like electrified laser beam that knocks him out for the first few minutes of the fight.
And he constantly gets hit with. I'm like, dude,
it's just him.
Yeah. So anyway, that's part of that could have added to my distaste for Superman.
Well, like that one's included, like, because here's the thing though, for anybody that might not be aware, like, DC continuity is a very confusing thing.
Yes.
For anybody that might read the comics, because one of the things that has been around for all these characters is that they always kind of take place in a version of the present day, where yes, it's the superhero version where there's high technology and people flying around, but DC comic books are always kind of meant to be happening in the now, right? And that can lead to a problem after a few decades of writing these characters, right? Yeah. Because what do you do when you've been writing Batman for 20 years? Is there a 50-year-old guy running around like with bad knees fighting on villains? So like very early on in DC continuity, people were like questioning, wait, how is Superman doing this thing, but then he doesn't mention the things that he did like 30 years? Oh, those are two different Supermen. That's what DC did basically. Yeah. Like, here's an Earth 1 and there's an Earth 2, right?
Oh, that exploded huge when the idea of like a whole multiverse, Earth 1 or 2. I'm like, wait, what are you doing? What do you mean Earth 626? What the heck's going on here? Like, wait. Because like, yeah, you're right. DC does have that kind of continuity problem, which is, I would say, definitely they could not have seen it coming back then, when they first wrote it, because I would imagine to a certain degree, I'm not going to be in the writer's head, but I would imagine to a certain degree they're writing Obermesh, Superman, like this ultimate strong guy. I mean, first off, he didn't have the ability to fly, but they gave it to him later on. He was super strong, but like then they made him like ridiculously strong, and the eye stuff, the X-ray stuff. It was like they added more and more and more, and then he was like, okay, now we got to cut him off because we gave him everything. We literally left every part of his body.
I think they stopped at solar flare. I think they stole that from Krypton.
That was for the New 52. So what ends up happening is so early on we have a Golden Age Superman,
right,
and we have a Silver Age Superman. Right, Golden Age Superman is much less powerful. He's the one that you could see from the old TV shows where he can't really fly. He just jumps really high.
Yeah.
Silver Age Superman is basically unlimited. Basically, they were writing a new power for him every single month.
Mm-hmm. I love some of those.
Those are great. One of my favorite comics of all time is Superman number 156, and which is a story that I could bring up later when it comes to the good stuff about Superman. But there's also like not only were there the comics, there were the TV shows. There was also radio plays. That's where Kryptonite comes from, right? Mm-hmm. Kryptonite was first introduced in a radio play.
The great equalizer, I call it.
Like once they brought that in, they're like, oh my God, wait, we're talking about a rock? Oh, this is gonna make us coast for like 2 decades. We got this.
Easily.
And then someone had the genius idea of like making different colors, and it's like that guy got a raise.
Oh my God! With like, what was that issue? The one where Jimmy Olsen made like crystal kryptonite or something like that, like a jewel kryptonite.
There's one for everything.
There's one for everything, and then like the one was based on like gold, like gold that can that works against plants, and then like a blue one, a red one. I'm like, these guys like these guys were really like, it was hilarious. Like when I came across those comics, like when you were saying DC continuity, you're reading something, and out of nowhere comes this Kryptonite series, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? What is this rock thing? So, but then, of course, being as a fan, you start to incorporate that into your knowledge and understanding of what Superman is. So then, yeah, that became another conversation piece with all your other middle school, high school friends when you talk about like his weakness is a rock. Shut up. You don't. It's awesome. You don't know.
But because like where we're getting at with the Kryptonite stuff is because it became so important, because Kryptonite, even though Kryptonite might have just been a throwaway idea somebody had, it was ingrained into the comics. It became a thing in the movies. Everyone started paying attention. Everyone thought, okay, this is a great idea. We're going to include Kryptonite as one of Superman's weaknesses from now on because it's a good tool. It's a good thing. So it makes it a part of that. Kryptonite is a part of Superman's character for sure. 100%, like unquestionable. Various things pop up throughout like Superman's history, different realities and different multiverses. Now that the multiverse theory is happening, DC can do anything. They can do Elseworlds tales. Like if something doesn't make sense in a story, okay, that's Earth 23, whatever. It doesn't count towards main continuity. And then 1986 happens. And 1986 is basically where everything went dark and gritty, and I feel like the entire all of society just became like nothing but like pockets and gritting your teeth, because we have the Crisis on Infinite Earths, where it was DC's attempt to like bring everything, like simplify everything and make it so like, okay, we're going to take all the universes that we've created so far, make them fight each other, mash them together, destroy 99.9% of them, and leave just one Earth where we take our favorite bits and we'll put it all into one story.
That's right.
And that's where we get like Man of Steel and Dark Knight Returns and Batman Year One. That's where like these stories that have now become part of the canon really start taking place, and like they became the more modern versions of these characters that we are more familiar with today, right? Because the version of Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman that started coming out in 1986 is the one that I think most people see in their heads, just because it is the result of decades and decades and decades of stories up to this point.
Right. Yeah, essentially they had essentially perfected what they thought these characters should be at that point, and it's time to kind of like bring out that perfected version and do away with all the others. Still said they miss with Superman, but
Well, and then for the next few decades, they kind of like do soft reboots here and there. Whenever something happens and nobody likes it, they basically ignore it from then on. For example, one of my favorite examples of this is Kevin Smith did a Batman story at one point, and he made it so, and he had done a retcon where Batman tells a story that took place during Batman Year One. It's the scene where Batman crashes through the window and he crashes the dinner that's happening between all the mob bosses and the politicians. And Kevin Smith wrote a line where Batman's telling stories that he says he peed himself a little bit when that happened because he was shocked by one of the explosions. He's like, no, Kevin Smith. Everyone ignored it from then on. No, Kevin Smith, you're not allowed to do that. Batman is not allowed to pee himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
that should happen.
There are certain guidelines. There are certain guidelines you just can't cross, and once you do, you will definitely create a controversial and uproar, or you just be like, you know what, we don't mention that. We're not gonna say that name in this house. You know, we're gonna move on.
Yeah, so that became one of those things that everyone just kind of ignores. Yeah. And then 2011 happens, and we have DC's New 52, which is one of the biggest messes in comics that you can possibly imagine.
Loved it.
Oh, wow.
Like a lot of great stuff came out of the New 52. It is the current universe that we exist in now with the soft reboots that have happened here and there, but it is basically the new continuity that exists in DC Comics. The problem is DC didn't do it 100%, right? Because they totally rebooted Superman. They totally rebooted Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. But at that time, Batman and Green Lantern were being written by two of the biggest writers that DC had at the time. Batman's being written by Grant Morrison, and Jeff Johns was writing Green Lantern, and neither one of them wanted to stop in the middle of their stories for the New 52. So basically, like, where they compressed all of the history of Batman and Green Lantern up to that point into 5 years. Which made it even more confusing for Batman in particular, because Grant Morrison, being the person who is consistently on acid that he is, made it so that every Batman story is canon. Every single one, from the Silver Age to the Golden Age, Grant Morrison made every single Batman story canon to some degree, whether it was a hallucination or some other nonsense that happened in a Batman story. Everything that has been written about Batman is a part of his experience to some degree, and it all happened within 5 years, according to the New 52.
Yeah, well, if they're definitely trying to have their own arc, their own story, their own imprint in the timeline of what is Superman from the 40s to now, then yeah, that kind of stuff is gonna happen. And I like that idea that is like on the constant acid trip, because it's like, you know what, there's the explanation there.
All right, so I think what we can kind of decide now is, what are we keeping, right? What are we making part of Superman, right? So because you can't just slap an S on somebody's chest and call him Clark and say that that's Superman. It doesn't really work out that way.
Right. There's
so I mean, we can try to make a list right now. It's like there's shit ton of powers, basically God level.
Are we going to include Superman Red, Superman Blue?
Yeah,
the 1988 one.
That's a thing that happened. Yeah,
it is a thing that happened. Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Power wise, we're gonna go with the basics, right? The lasers, the super speed.
Well, I think now, I mean, for your sake, Terrance, I think it's better for your argument if Superman is just the guy that can do any, like, there's the basics, or the Superman's super strength and all that, but then there's like the nonsense stuff, like maybe not so much in the Silver Age degree where where they come up with like rainbow vision or whatever that he might end up having, but I think Superman is Superman. Listen,
I don't want an easy win. All right, I don't want an easy win. Give me.
I don't think you're gonna win. I don't think it's gonna be one for you. All right, so you can have your God level Superman. You can have.
If you have your God level Superman, then he loses. My point is just made immediately.
I believe good stories can be told about Superman, even if there is no threat to his life ever.
You know what? That is a very good point. That's a very good point, especially if you look at the comics, because there's a meteor coming to the planet and he's going to save everyone, but then there's time in the dialogue that talks about like why it's important to save people, why it's important to be there, why, and then you have they'll have relatable stories of like kids looking up to him, be like, oh, I could never do that. It's like, well, do what you can, and you will be your own hero. You can be your own Superman, and then he flies off, which is enough, almost like a surplus for the right comic reader where they read that and then they take away. It's like, obviously to a certain degree, the idea of like laser beams and super strength and stuff like that, that's a big stuff, but like the dialogue is also a very key important aspect in the comics.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's the idea of Superman. That's awesome. I love that stuff. That's the stuff that gets me going like, yeah, he told that kid and he flew off. And then I'm like, well, wait a second, that meteor.
But that meteor,
he stopped the meteor.
Yeah, but he's super smart. Did it even have to get that close? Right? All right, we'll talk about it.
So I think we're okay with like God level power.
Sure.
Okay.
Weak against rocks.
All right. Yes. I mean, I'm going to include magic. Weak against magic too.
Weak against magic, yeah.
Sure. That's very important.
Magic is not a science, so like it can break Superman. It's fine. A symbol of hope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because even in bad versions of Superman, like in the Zack Snyder verse, like they try to tell you that Superman is a symbol of hope, even though he does not act like it to any degree in those movies.
Yeah, like a little cult leader.
Yeah. Superman all around nice guy.
Yes, definitely. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
Well, at least he seems to be.
He just says the right. He just happens to say the right things. Right? He just says the right things.
He knows how to inspire.
Which, if you say that, if you take that part of a personality in human beings in actual real life, sometimes people twist and be like, "This guy's a psychopath." It's like, why? He just sounds too nice. Like they're nice.
Well, to me, like
nice.
my version of Superman, the version of Superman that I'm arguing for here today, is he believes in what he says. He truly is the nicest guy in the world.
There's a lot of people that believe in what they say, and that's cool as well. But no, I get what you're saying. He from an outside looking in perspective, he is genuinely just a good.
He's the guy that can trust anybody, that does not lie, that always tries to do his best to help out as many people as possible, even though he's just one person. Having godlike power does not give you the ability to help out everyone all the time.
Again, then it's not godlike power, is it? All right, but we're gonna get back to all that.
Godlike. All right. Here's one thing that I definitely have to include that you might actually disagree with me on, Terrance.
Okay.
Superman is an anti-authoritarian power fantasy for the people who have been wronged by the powerful.
I have to agree.
I mean,
I hate it. I hate that I have to agree with you, but I do.
I have examples.
Yeah,
I have examples.
Yeah, I do as well. You're right. He is that.
And you said yourself, you read those first few issues. Who's the first person that Superman goes up against? What is the first thing that Superman goes up against? A landlord, a corrupt landlord.
I'm just gonna say, like, to a certain degree. I mean,
it's all relative. But go ahead, Marcus.
That's definitely the writer's point of view when they write that he's going to be against the authoritarian. So like if that's, I mean, how do I say this right?
Nah, just say it. We'll correct you.
Go ahead.
Like, okay, good.
We're both here waiting. We're both ready. Like we're loading the shotguns.
You'll fix it in post. You'll fix it in post. No, it's just like a lot of the stories, like, it can be allegorical where you're thinking like, okay, well, this story is like, you have one person on one side of the spectrum is like, this is against authoritarian rule. And then like, that's very true. But then the other one's like, nah, he's just arguing, the facts on this. And then that's it. Let's just focus on the good stuff. Don't make it any deeper than it needs to be. So, and then of course, eventually
I can see that though. I can see someone thinking that like, Superman is the Boy Scout that'll follow the law to whatever degree, right? But that's not true. That is not true. In like the intent of the character is that if you no matter what law-abiding thing, whatever law that you follow, if you are using your power over others and taking advantage of them and hurting people to any degree whatsoever, you are someone that Superman's going to come up and kick your ass for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's done
that is a part.
And it's and he's done that quite often, and sometimes without taking everything into context, and just messed up things that he shouldn't have messed up. And we'll talk about that too. We'll talk about where being too good causes a bunch of additional problems.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to argue that, Terrance. But this excludes like the Frank Miller version of Superman. The Frank Miller Superman is someone who works for the president. No, that's not Superman.
Well, that's...
like the Superman would never like be at the president's beck and call, like unless he thought the president was actually had like good intentions. That's not a Superman that works.
Frank Miller, but that's how they made him, right? They made him to believe that the president has the best intentions of the country, and that i.e. the world.
the real Superman would listen to whatever Bruce Wayne had to say. He'd take Bruce's side before he took the president's side. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't like Frank Miller does not. Frank Miller can understand Batman all day. Frank Miller does not understand Superman, and in fact hates Superman. Frank Miller wrote a Superman that he doesn't like. He wrote the version of Superman that he sees in his head that doesn't actually exist for people who like the character.
Right. But for the purpose to give his favorite character the perfect enemy, which is the authoritarian, godlike, creature out there. And even if he tried to blow him off to bits, still, he purposely wrote him to come back and then still fight his perfect soldier, which is going to be Batman. Well, not soldier. Soldier's a third.
Yeah, but basically, like Frank Miller used the name Superman without actually using the character. He might as well have called him Ultraman or Superior Man.
That's a very good. Well, yeah, that's a very Superior Man. There you go.
That's an entire dissection right there. Oh my gosh! All right, how much time do we have for this?
Which is great. Are we still in the intro? We're still in the intro.
Well, like if anybody's ever questioning me about like the anti-authoritarian thing, like I reached out to someone who has a degree in superheroes. I reached out to Jeff Stormer on Twitter, who is a game designer who does like board games and RPGs and stuff like that. But he's also a massive fan of Superman, has a degree in superheroes, and in basically paraphrasing what little essay that he wrote on Twitter a couple weeks ago, is that where Batman, this was around the time of the New Year, where Batman has a drink with Gordon every year on New Year's to kind of like bring it in. The very first appearance of Superman, the police set out a task force to kill him, right? Like, Superman's biggest enemy is a billionaire, is the worst villains that exist in real life. Right. The most powerful people in the world. Superman's enemy is always the most powerful, evil people in the world that he can't just punch in the face. Right. Batman is a billionaire. Batman has cooperation with the police. People who we have seen in real life nowadays are just villains in their own right. So like Superman would be fighting for the people, and the correct version of Superman fights for the people.
Would it be wrong to say that Superman has a lot of first world problems? I mean, like his city isn't really
I think that's on purpose. That's on purpose that he's got a lot of first world problems.
Yeah, like his city isn't really corrupt. Like Batman has to do what he has to do because he has to do it. His Gotham is just a mess. It's like complete trash. Like Superman, his city is almost perfect anyway. It started off great. His city started off great. Most of the problems that happen in his city is because Superman exists. So it's like people like, I want to fight that guy.
That's related to a question I have, but okay.
All right. But yeah, so I don't know. Superman has the luxury. Let's put it that way. Superman has a lot of luxuries afforded to him. Like, police are after him. Oh, he sent a task force after Superman. Is Superman really, really worried about these humans coming after him? Like, let's be honest.
No, but those humans are worried about him coming after them.
Right. So, it's
that does make a difference. Like, because cops are not afraid of Batman. Like, for some reason, the villains in Gotham are stupider than the ones in Metropolis, in my opinion, because Batman will do some heinous things to you, and yet you still do it. Like, Batman doesn't make a good... Batman is awesome, but he's not a good deterrent. Superman might be a proper deterrent, because they know Batman doesn't cover the little stuff. Right. Batman will stop a corrupt politician, he'll stop a bank heist, he'll investigate a murder. He won't help a little girl get her cat out of a tree. Mm-hmm. Right. But Superman will. Right. Superman is there on street level. Superman
has, the ability, right? He can do that. He is one person, but he has godlike speed. So guess what? Batman, to get across the city, right?
And like what I have to say about that, though, is that like
that's always been my issue when it comes to Superman and Batman, because that's why Superman will always be the tops. And Batman,
here's the thing, though.
Batman's got one zip code. That's all he takes care of.
That's all he can do.
That's all he can do. Superman's got Metropolis and then something in Siberia just for the heck of it, and then he's right back over in the same hour.
He's out of space for a bit, and then he comes back. Yeah.
But see, I actually disagree with you guys on that one.
Okay.
Because by virtue of storytelling, like Batman's power is his money. He can basically get anything done with his money. if like this is an idea I've had in my head for a long time, but if I were ever to write a Superman story, it would basically start off with someone zipping around Metropolis, saving everyone. You don't actually see the person; it's just a blur that travels through the city, right? Rescuing kittens out of trees, stopping bank robberies, stopping muggings, and then when that blur stops, it's Batman in a super suit, because Batman can do anything Superman can do if he puts enough money into it.
But do they do that? But do they create that
again?
story? If you do that,
see, that's writer's technique. That's the writers making a decision that like Batman accomplishes these kind of like dirtier crimes kind of things, and Superman is much more lighthearted and much more front-facing hero.
All right. Now, with that thought in mind, with Superman's intellect, does he even need to be anywhere to fight and stop any crime? Go. I mean, come on. He has all the knowledge of Krypton, which is supposed to be a much more advanced civilization.
So, yeah.
Does he even need to be in Metropolis half the time? Like, doesn't he? Can he have robots do his bidding? I mean, he's done it before.
That's that analyzing
examples
part.
Of that actually
he's done it before, right?
Superman helps people because he wants to help people. It's not necessarily because he's like has to set out like an army of robots to go out and do the things. He just has that in his heart. He wants to help the people.
Like he has nothing better to do.
He helps for the sake of helping.
In Superman's mind, there's nothing better than helping people.
Right.
For Superman,
why didn't he cure cancer until the end of All-Star Superman when he was about to die and he had to figure it out to save himself? I mean, again, this just some examples, man.
Again, that's the analyzing part of your brain where you go too much. Part of my brain.
I'm like,
that's true.
All-Star Superman, right? We see all these, we see his. I mean, there's so many examples, but the one that stuck out to me was he had whatever versions, a little microscopic. They went inside of him to try to fix his essentially his body deteriorating and blowing itself up at the microscopic level. And they're like, hey, is this happening too fast? And then Superman's like, oh, hey, these kids with cancer, go help them. I'm like, dude, this could have been done years ago. This whole time. I'm like, oh, I'm so angry. I was so angry.
But could it have been? I don't remember. I didn't reread All-Star Superman for this, but like, I don't know if all those details change. I don't know if he could have done it before, but like once he started doing it, then it was fixed.
Once he definitely ultimate
he had more resources,
right?
But again, he had more resources in the present day than he did, and plus, it's also another thing where it's just an aspect of the character where Superman does not want to replace humanity, right? Because that's what Lex Luthor's argument is, that Superman makes humanity worse by existing.
Oh,
because
that's a great storyline. I love that one. But go ahead.
Because Lex Luthor, one of Lex Luthor's excuses for hating Superman is that humanity will not aspire to be anything greater than what they are if they have a Superman flying around doing all the work for them.
Which I gotta say, for a villain's point of view, it's like Thanos, where you start listening to Thanos a little bit, and you're just like, let's hear him out. Let's hear him out a little bit. But Lex Luthor,
But with any villain, if you think about any villain's point of view enough, it's like, then why don't you do it, Lex? Like in the comic that I brought out to you guys, in the one where he fights Superior Man, like it ends with Superman telling Lex, you have all these billions of dollars you can dedicate to making the world a better place. You could have made so much better, but instead you used that to kill me, right? And then he flies away, and then Lex Luthor is there with Mercy, and she's asking him, well, sir, did you actually listen to him? Are you going to stop spending 8 hours a day and $8 billion to try to kill Superman? It's like, no, are you crazy? How dare he talk to me like that? I'm going to spend $16 billion. I'm going to dedicate 12 hours a day trying to kill him. How dare he talk to me like that? No one should. And then it flashes back to what the real reason why Lex Luthor hates Superman is because, in this version of the world anyways, where Lex Luthor wanted to build the highest tower in Metropolis since he was a kid so that everyone would look up to him.
Right.
But ultimately, Superman can fly over that. Lex Luthor's always...
He's just petty. He's petty. But I mean, like I said, Superman... I'm not saying that Superman needs to expand human life, till like 1 million years, but the kids, man. The kids with cancer.
The kids. It's a very low bar.
That's what got me really mad.
The kids.
The amount of... He did there are a couple other things that I thought were just super silly for an adult who has a superior intellect. Like, but that's the one thing that got me Like I was like, oh, this guy.
I will say though, like there is a matter of resources. While he had the brains to figure it out, Superman isn't a millionaire or a billionaire. He has like some alien tech that he's been able to acquire over time. But it's not really a part of the character that Superman is super rich and also has a lot of resources to use.
He is 100% super rich. Are you kidding me?
No. He has items, but it's not like you can sell a Kryptonian gem and
it's not like you can grab a piece of coal and crunch it into a diamond. Yeah, no.
That messes with the economy, Terrance. If you create diamonds whenever you want, you screw up the economy.
Like, okay,
how's it gonna look when Clark Kent shows up with a 50-carat diamond and be like, "Yeah, I need this for my mother on the farm." Investigate him, audit this guy. Where's this guy from? Where did he get this coal?
If Superman crushes coal into diamond, it immediately becomes cubic zirconia. That's what cubic zirconia is. That's all it is.
Right, but that's my thing. Like, is he really not rich? Like at any point in time, he can be. He chooses not to be. It's the difference.
I guess there's a certain humility with it where he's like,
rich people are evil. We know that.
But even Batman's billions of dollars, he could have easily funded every Miami Children's Hospital. But
instead of running out there at night and jumping from building to building, attacking people.
So money even clouds the hero, where he's going to be a vigilante and maim a bunch of criminals. And it's like, wait a second,
most of these people are just trying to feed their kids because things are hard in Gotham.
and so like when Superman cures cancer, he's also using the resources in All-Star Superman of that guy that lives on the moon with all the super science labs and all stuff. He has help. Other people have come in to help him find a cure for cancer.
There you go. All right, we can use that story.
But again, at any point in time, he could have been, what's a good project? It's like any Tuesday. He could have gone up on a Tuesday morning.
I got some time on my hands. I'm going to go cure some kids.
Yeah,
I'm going to cure some kids.
There's nothing going on in the world. Metropolis is almost always safe. Right? Let me just go take a weekend and help these kids. That's my thing.
You know what?
I'm not buying it. We don't know how long that Superman's been operating. We know it's been years, but we don't know how long he's had access to the things he's had access to. I don't buy
it. Okay. All I'm saying is he had an entire library from Krypton. That's all I'm saying. So I'm saying.
But then that would also further Christian's point from Lex's point about humanity can't aspire to go further, because if they have all these easy outs of like being saved left and right, then it's like, oh well, then it just makes them more right.
Is Superman really a good guy, or is he just mediocre and like, I don't want to push humanity forward too much?
But see, now we're getting into talks about what makes a superhero super. Like, is a superhero responsible for making the world a better place, or are they just responsible for stopping a mugger?
I would say when we ask about what means, like, we have to first dissect and understand what the word better is. This is a Superman conversation, but we could easily be coming to a tangent of what ethics are.
That was my intention from the very beginning. This is meant to go philosophical.
Okay, fine.
I mean,
if this is going to go philosophical.
Here's my thing, right? If you're being good, you're good, right? You have super intellect. You have every resource available to you. Let's not pretend like he doesn't have access to billions of dollars. Batman is right down the street. He can be like, hey, Bats, I'll give you all these diamonds. You can, whatever they do, right? But he can get that money. He can have those resources, right? But he doesn't do those things, right? He has a key.
But he did, though.
He did. Oh, come on. When he's about to die, come on. He's like, oh, I can't save myself, but here, these kids.
Again, but we don't know what the frame of time is, though. We don't this is where we don't know how long it's been, how long he's been Superman, how long he's had access to the resources that he had.
And it didn't work, so then he sent them off. He just like
for all we know, like another thing that happens in All-Star Superman is him. We find out that he's been trying to bring back the bottle city of Kandor since he found it. He's been trying that since day one. He doesn't get to until All-Star Superman happens, because Grant Morrison wrote it that he doesn't solve all these problems until he has like a few weeks left to live. That's Grant Morrison's fault, not Superman's fault.
Which is a great storyline, because like you don't. Yeah, I mean, because if anything, you don't want to just solve everything 10 years ago, 5 years ago. No, you do want to push the story to where it's like in the final ends, you want to give a deadline. You want to give a rush to action, or an actual situation. So yeah, like when they write something like that, then that's great. Then I would approve of something like that, because if you look backwards and be like, wait, you could have done this then? Nope, I could not have. Just so we know, I could not have. I can do it now.
I will give him this, that because of the events of All-Star Superman, his intellect was increased So that
but that's because of his condition.
Yeah, right. Again, yeah, it's a condition. But even with that, he still left his key for the fortress just like outside.
Oh no! But you know how heavy that was. That was the weight of a neutron
and that's
star.
what pissed me off even more. He's like, hey. He's telling Lois, yeah, no one can get in because this key is so heavy. And then 2 months later, like some Kryptonians come into his house.
That was a bit much.
Throw out his statues. I was like, okay, well, obviously, Superman, you're not the only strong person. I think we
pretty much narrowed down on which Superman we're talking about for the last 20, 30 minutes.
This is just one instance. I know.
I'm just saying, this is the one we keep talking about. Like we didn't even.
Well, there are several things in All-Star Superman that do help my argument. Because, like I said, Grant Morrison, I think, is someone who really does understand Superman. And again, when you talk about him not being careful with his key, he didn't know that there were 2 other Kryptonians flying around.
He didn't know that.
But he knows that there's other people that are just as strong almost as strong as him, right?
Yeah,
Almost.
his cousin and his dog.
And isn't Hercules in that world? Isn't Wonder Woman? Doesn't she have some?
Yeah, but they're not as strong. That key was like, what's the weight on that key? It was like the weight of 1 quintillion suns or something like that.
Couldn't be that heavy. Put that on Earth. Come on.
You know what? That's another funny point. It's like, wait a second. Are we pushing the Earth down at this point?
Like, you just go to the core.
Don't do that. Don't analyze.
Yeah. If you're going to suspend your disbelief, that far, then like, let's not get into the fact that key should be causing a black hole.
First of all, you shouldn't leave your key.
The ice.
You shouldn't leave your key outside your house, no matter how strong you think you are. Let's take a lesson that he had to learn as an adult, probably.
No, if the only way to get into my house was that you had to pick up your car and smash it through the front door, I think that's proper security.
It's like, you know what? He's like, wow, you did it? Well, you deserve my stuff. You deserve it. You passed the test, you know? Okay.
So I think we all do have a good idea of like what makes Superman Superman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can start coming out with now we can throw the back and forth with the examples. So yeah, go ahead, Marcus.
What I was going to say about the philosophical thing is just like, I would definitely play to the other side of the scratched coin, the Two-Face, that's the Two-Face reference, of being the darker side, where I would advocate Lex Luthor's point of view on what it is to be good or what it is to be bad, but what it is to be good. Because, yeah, if you have this perfect super crutch coming in, yeah, that would definitely, put a huge disadvantage for humanity to aspire to go forward, to even try new things or worry about or advance themselves. Because, yeah, in the storyline of All-Star Superman, Lex had a great, fantastic piece about this is like, look at that. This is real man-made muscle, not Kryptonian genetics. And this is like, and it's like, oh, well, I mean, okay, he's got a point. But then after a while, it's like,
now, well, here's one that I had in the chamber. Can anybody remind me how All-Star Superman ends when it comes to Lex Luthor's arc?
When it comes to Lex Luthor's arc, I mean, wasn't he put on death row?
He was put on death row, but then he got Superman's super serum, right? And
he reverse engineered it.
Yeah, and Superman had it accelerated so that it would run out.
Yeah, but it doesn't end, like Lex Luthor doesn't stop when the serum ceases to take effect. Right. Lex Luthor stops for a totally separate reason.
Oh,
Lex Luthor stops because he starts to see the world how Superman sees the world.
All connected, all one thing.
He sees the connection between all living things.
Everything. Yeah, which is a great piece. I enjoyed that because I'm like,
Superman turns Lex Luthor by really literally inspiring Lex Luthor to be better by seeing the world that he sees it. And that's the thing about the way that Superman sees the world, at least like the Grant Morrison version in All-Star Superman, where like, yes, he's in love with Lois Lane, but when he looks at her, he sees everything. He sees the molecules that make up her face. He sees all the crags, every cell. He doesn't see a person. He sees the atoms that make up that person. He's in love with Lois not because she's attractive. He's in love with Lois because she's a beautiful person on the inside.
Yeah.
Because he sees us all as nothing but like atoms and meat.
Right. Which makes his averageness even. He's still, but it doesn't take away from the fact, right? Like didn't a lot of people die because of Lex Luthor's superpower that he got, right?
Yeah. And because Superman was also losing his powers at the same time.
No, hold on now. Because Superman also said that he knew this would get back to Lex. So Is Superman an enabler?
You know what? That word, I had a very unrelated conversation about that word, like in a whole different situation. When you say something and it even scares yourself when you say something like where it's even more profound, because I accused somebody of being an enabler just for the heck of it. Just like, oh yeah, I was like, yeah, but you're an enabler. You're an enabler. I'm like, aren't we all enablers? Wait a second. Now I think about it. Now I just hit myself with something. Wait a second, because if you do something, you're enabling someone else's behavior. Okay, Batman, he just punches the Joker, locks him up in Arkham. That's going to enable Joker to break out and even cause more chaos. You have Superman, who doesn't punch someone in the face, just locks them up. It's going to enable them to get out of jail and cause more chaos. Or Lex Luthor. It's like you can say enabler, but yeah, you know what? One enables the other, as well as the vice versa. Door swings both ways, inverse, outverse.
And it totally invalidates Terrance's argument.
That's it. That was the one. That was
only to a certain extent. But again, like with this knowledge that this serum that you made can possibly get back to Lex, it's kind of irresponsible to not like track that chain down and stop it before it gets there. I get that he wanted Lex to see what he saw, but the chaos that was caused because of it, like I'm sure some families' lives were just completely ruined.
He knows. He knows that when he's
Superman
gone,
is not
Lex
the
is going to be
Superman.
there.
Right. That's conjecture. Your Honor, this is conjecture.
All right, let me
He's
get
speaking.
There's no proof.
He's speaking in hypotheticals. We do not attest to hypotheticals.
Yeah, I noticed that too. We never really look at the effect that Superman's battles have, like on just families across the metropolis,
across the apartment complexes that he died. This is when Man of Steel happened, and then it's like when Zack Snyder's Man of Steel happened. I'm watching all of this. It's like, wow, they're really bringing in that feel. Like this is kind of like the cartoon. Like they're knocking down buildings, and then of course online, I assume it's people who didn't even watch the show or see any of that or like that kind of reference. Oh, he was messing up buildings and homes and family. I'm like, yeah, but that was kind of like, it was a nice throwback to the cartoon, the animated series of that, and even certain comics where they showed that he went right through a building, and then you're like, the fight's over here, but I'm like, yeah, but that building though. What kind of insurance plan?
Because you know where they messed up with the Man of Steel was like in the comics and the cartoons, like they just go right through the building, but like the building stays up. Like it doesn't actually it doesn't actually destroy everything and everyone involved in the area. It only affects that one room that they just smashed.
That one room in a diagonal too, in a diagonal trajectory.
Because they just wanted that disaster porn where it's just a bunch of stuff crashing all over the place. And if you end up watching or experience a thing for the first time and it pops up into your head about collateral damage, it's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, that was like a lot of collateral.
I'm wearing my backwards Superman shirt. This is the shirt I wore the first time I saw Man of Steel in theaters. And like I get to that movie and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is okay. Like there's some things in here that are not very Superman, but I'm with it. Henry Cavill's doing great. Mm-hmm. And then it gets to that scene where he snaps Zod's neck and was like, yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, that was like, I had to explain that to a bunch of people who'd be like, I thought Superman never killed. Hold on. I can't even.
But he does kill, though. I mean, it's all about our perception of what is sentient, right?
Come on, bring it, Terrance. Bring it. I want to hear it because every version, like there are comics that have come out where Superman just basically kills somebody, right. But then every writer after that point basically ignores it and makes it not part of the canon.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's talk about indirect kills. All right.
Death by taxes, death by health insurance.
Indirect kills because Superman decided to do a thing that he shouldn't do, right? Like I was just reading a comic, and was it the New 52? Sure, it's the New 52. It was 2011, where there was a high-speed chase with some guys who were hijacking a tanker, essentially, right? And Superman, decides to pick the tanker up and fly up into the air with it. And I'm like, immediately, I'm like, why are you even doing that, right? You have super speed. Take the two people out, right? Put them on the side of the road, stop the tanker. But no, he flies up. I'm okay with that. He's bantering back and forth with this guy that's shooting at him. I'm like, dude, you're wasting time. Those bullets could have ricocheted and gone somewhere else. I don't know. No one knows. Someone could have gotten hit. And then out of nowhere, a firebolt comes and hits him and blows up the tanker. Those two people are dead, obviously. right? That's what happens. It's what happens. And then the news are like, did Superman just blow up this tanker and kill these bad guys?
Wait a
It
second.
wasn't him. It wasn't him. It was some fire monster, obviously.
Oh my God.
But, because of his decision, right? And we can all agree that that's a poor decision, right? If you...
So he had no prior knowledge this fire monster was going to shoot him, right?
No.
So he was like just showing off, pushing this
Why are
tanker
you
up.
doing that? Why are you wasting valuable time, right? Other people's lives could have still been in danger. Just get it over with. Right? And that, of course, it annoyed me tremendously, right? Because I'm like, yes, they're criminals, but also they deserve to be blown up like that.
It's
because that was just so
again. I just hear a hypothetical. I see where you're coming from, but like
they wrote it, they died. It's not,
I know, but like if that had been me writing it, I would have enjoyed that kind of conflict. So yeah, I would have enjoyed writing the conflict where Superman has to deal with the fact that he made a poor decision and it led to the indirect deaths. But
he never dealt with
it. Then that's bad writing. That is bad writing. That is straight up bad writing.
Okay, I want to see Terrance write Superman comics. They're just going to be a pamphlet because it's just going to be like obstacle, boom, solution. It's like there's 100 people stuck in a cruise ship and it's about to capsize. Boom, super speed, I'm out. And it's like, see you next week.
Why wouldn't you? It's the most effective.
It's gonna be a 6-square comic of like, hey, I'm flying over Metropolis. Oh, there's a cruise ship with 100 people. I'm gonna zoom in get all those people out, and then like, oh, here's the moral of the story, and then he's back on Metropolis flying away.
He's done that before. He's had comics where he, a problem happens and he just zips in, saves everyone, right, and then he goes about his business.
Yeah, and like I don't want to like attempt to shut down every argument that Terrance brings up by just saying, oh yeah, the writer was a bad writer, right? Because that's bullshit on my part. That'd be bullshit on my part. But it is a good story if it uses those kind of moments, like they can't have like definitely Superman directly killing someone is not a part of the character. Right. So anytime that it does happen, basically everybody ignores. If you're going to have Superman indirectly kill someone because of like a foolish decision, then you have to have him dealing with the fact he has to feel guilt over it. Like it's he's very similar to Spider-Man in that degree where he does feel a responsibility for the people that he doesn't save.
Yeah.
Right? Because he can hear everyone dying all the time. So like if Superman could, he would be flying around all the time trying to save as many people as possible. And obviously because he's one man, he can't. Right, Terrance?
He has technology. Again, it goes back to this thing, right? He's this super intellect, right? He has the means.
But I will say but see the high technology
exactly.
thing,
everyone shouldn't be saved.
But see the high technology thing, I think that's something that applies to Superman at the end of his career. The true Superman, the Superman in the middle of his career is Superman through and through. Like he is him. He doesn't have access to a bunch of different things. Mm-hmm. I think having an army of robots, like All-Star Superman is very much a Silver Age Superman. It is a Superman late in his career who has access to a lot of things that your average Superman does not have access to. The Fortress of Solitude, the version of we have it, is basically just a crystal palace where he can like read books. That's basically what the Fortress of Solitude is meant to be. Right. It is basically just a place where he can look up information on his homeworld. Like it's he
has like to me it's like, okay, he has the access to do the things he needs to do. All right.
Okay.
Didn't he have a second fight with Doomsday and at the end of it ended up sending him into the Phantom Zone?
That's
for the first time, like the very first time Doomsday's introduced.
No. There's another time after that. I think
after the New 52.
Yeah, I think it was after the New 52. But
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He ended up at the end of it. He ended up sending him into the Phantom Zone, and I was like, but you had all this time, and you knew because he knew that Doomsday couldn't be killed the same way twice because it's the Superman from the other parallel dimension, whatever, all that good stuff. But he took a beating. Which is another point. Like, is he a masochist? But whatever. He took a beating for apparently no reason. Because the minute Doomsday comes back, what's the first thing I would do? Phantom Zone. Let's get this going.
Again,
I know what happened last time. I almost died.
Panel comic, right? Just a 6-panel comic.
My version of Superman, like I don't think I actually read that issue. I do remember the event that you're talking about, but like to me, the correct version of Superman that is as exists, whether it was in that comic you read or not, and this is gonna make Superman sound like an idiot, which I'm okay with. That the version of Superman in my head would have hope for Doomsday. would hope that Doomsday could be talked down to. Would hope that Superman would hope that Doomsday is actually like a sentient being that could be that could eventually find peace with himself.
Oh, right? Absolutely. I'm 100%. I think that is a great idea, and that's why I say he's a great concept. It's an excellent concept. But in a situation like that, where you know that A, he will kill you, 2, he will take a lot of collateral damage, right? There's a lot of people, things, everything, you know, just put him in the Phantom Zone and have therapy sessions. Like, why do we even?
Do you have any idea how much it costs to have a travel therapist?
but he's also Superman. He's also Superman that's aware that like the Phantom Zone is worse than death.
Again, if he's reformed, you can bring him back out for a week, see how it works. Put him back in.
Are you good? You good? No, back in there. Get in there.
Your first priority should be, okay, he always says his first priority is to save people. Okay, well, why waste time? Just do the thing that will save the most people, right? You don't have to kill him, right? Mm-hmm. I would probably Phantom Zone 90% of things until I can like ascertain what's
You know
right.
what? After a while, like the way that Terrance explains or at least tries to rationalize this, it's not even like Superman anymore. It's Convenience Man. You know,
we know exactly what.
To a certain degree, it's like
you can still have a valuable lesson, right? Your kids do the right thing and do it smart.
we know what Super Terrance looks like. We know that Super Terrance is someone who, if he has an awkward conversation with somebody at a coffee shop, Phantom Zone.
Oh,
I never have to think about it again.
That's it.
I don't want to live in a world where this person can remember this moment between us. I'm gonna Phantom Zone this.
Phantom Zone it.
But again, it's one of those situations where if saving lives is like top priority,
okay,
then you know that you have a tendency to attract things that are just really destructive, right? And they always come to Metropolis. They always look for you. Like on Tuesday morning, you're getting coffee. There's a new thing popping out of the ground. Superman, people die, people go flying. You're like, crap, I got to deal with this again, right? But you know, maybe choose a spot that's like further away, you know. But
that's another thing that, like, if that wasn't true, then we don't have stories to tell.
You got a lot of stories to tell. There's a lot of
every problem that Batman deals with is only because Batman exists in Gotham. Every villain that Wonder Woman fights is only doing it because they want to get revenge on Wonder Woman for whatever reason.
So you're telling me if Superman was in the Arctic in his Fortress of Solitude, that some things still wouldn't be like, there he is, I'm gonna go get him. They're still gonna come after him. Less collateral damage.
And then you know what would happen? They'd be like, okay, we can't kill him in the Fortress of Solitude. We're going to attack this other place, and we know he's going to come over there and save them anyways. Like, again, if I'm a writer for these stories, and I want the stories to be told, I know how to work around these things.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just going to create dangerous situations for Superman to be there for.
Yeah, lots of problems existed. You know, lots of problems existed, not even in tangent, not even related to Batman, and then he came in to Superman, and then he came in, and then you're still ignoring the points where Superman stops a mugging, or he puts out a fire. You're ignoring those times where he wasn't the cause of the issue, but he still solved it anyways. Focus or anything like that. He just
like that, you know. Yeah, so you're right. There was a time that he lost his power and he tried to save someone and got shot.
Yeah,
because he doesn't know how to fight properly.
Which shows.
Which I love. I love that, though. I do love the fact that, like, why would you have to learn how to fight if you have unbreakable skin?
Right. But
there you go.
At this point, you know that, you know, and again, that's why I'm like,
that sounds like a good sketch idea,
he's
actually.
An excellent character, but, like, just common sense would tell you, you know, maybe approach this situation differently.
There's nothing commonsensical about being a superhero. Being a superhero makes no sense.
You know what? That's a good point. I mean, when you get down to really good like graphic novels, then you have the time to dish out lots of plot, lots of dialogue, and actually have time to talk, you know, that the characters talk about why they do the things they do. Because if you have a comic book, it's a quick 15 page little thing. He comes in, here's the problem, saves it, stops it. Oh yes, do good, kids. Say no to drugs. Don't be a criminal, blah, and then the comic's over. But when you have graphic novels that really can dissect, like for instance, one of my favorite would be like the Killing Joke of the Joker, because you give him a little bit of a backstory, and then then you have the storyline of him and Gordon, him and Barbara, him and Bruce, and then him by himself, and then even Batman like trying to reason with him in the end, which is its own thing, which was not. I didn't see that coming when I first read the comic. I didn't see it coming that he tries to reason with the Joker, because this would go back to us talking about, why doesn't he just like lock up Doomsday in the Phantom Zone right away? No, he's thinking there could be some way to reason with this Doomsday, even fighting him out. Like, no, listen to me. No, it doesn't happen. Okay, fine. We'll Phantom Zone you in the end of it. But with like,
all the collateral damage that happens in between.
Yeah, the collateral damage.
Hey,
it sucks,
let's talk about this. I'm going to throw this truck. Again,
but again, it's like a writer's thing, right? Because we care more about a fight that happens in the middle of New York City than a fight that happens in the middle of the Arctic. It makes the audience, it makes us care more about that.
But again,
there's a lot on the line. There's a lot on the line.
Yeah, that perfect ideology, like he's super intellect, super speed, all this god tier powers. And yet you have a fight and just lots of people get caught in that crossfire.
And like, I agree with you that I think Superman is not at his best when it's a fist fight.
Yeah.
He is it's very like, again, this is a character we've talked about before. Like, this character is very hard to write for, which could be an argument as to like what makes him a bad character, is because apparently like so many people have trouble just like telling stories about him, which could definitely go into like, then that makes him bad, right? Because if you can't tell good stories about this thing, then it's a bad character. But then the people who do tell good stories tell such fantastic fucking stories. There's like, oh yeah, everybody else is fucking around. These guys,
these guys know how to tell a story. This guy's know how to tell a Superman story.
Like, I mean, like just some of my favorites, right? Like we were talking about the animated series. There's the Dark Side invasion, the Apocalypse invasion with we have the speech from Justice League Unlimited with I live in a world made of cardboard.
That man won't quit as long as he can still draw a breath. None of my teammates will. Me, I've got a different problem. I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break someone. Never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die. But you can take it, can't you, big man? What we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you just how powerful I really am.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's a great line, just getting some perspective on this character and what it means to it. And that's what I mean when that's how I think you can tell what a good character is when you can feel for their experience, right? It's not so much the actions or whatever they do in the story, but when you can understand a character, whether they're the hero or the villain, the protagonist, the antagonist, a good character is one that you understand.
Yeah.
And I think like there's a lot of details about Superman that come on that's like, yes, we understand this character and we can tell fantastic stories about him when we understand him to the right degree.
And if you can relate to a character as huge and superior and super and all powered as Superman, then working your way down, then it becomes easier to relate to other characters, other superhero characters. Why does one person do this out of a tenement out of a tenet to be all good for the sake of being good, or being good out of the sake of guilt, which would be like Batman. Batman carries this huge cross of being good for the sake of like his regret of like what he lost. And he doesn't want that kind of thing for the rest of the, Gotham.
Yeah, like we understand like Batman doesn't want what happened to him to happen to anyone ever again.
Right.
That is Batman's life goal. That is why he's a billionaire who doesn't donate his money to make the world a better place, because he wants to stop muggings. He wants to stop kids from losing their parents. He wants to adopt every orphan that he can.
That's right.
That is why Batman operates, right? And like Superman operates because we have this character who cannot be hurt and is the best chance at helping as many people as possible, and not just helping people, but also also inspiring them to do better. He's the first superhero according to DC continuity, right? Like he's the very first person who decided to step up, put on a costume, and start helping people. Whether he's the first superhuman or not, he's the first person to decide to use his powers to help. And whenever Superman shows up in DC continuity, that is the beginning of the heroic age. That is when everyone decides, oh shit, I should be doing that too because I can. That is what Superman does. That is what makes Superman a great character, is that he inspires others. The best stories that have ever been told about Superman are not the ones where he punches the bad guy until he stops fighting back. They're the ones where he inspires other people to do that. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite stories of all time is one that's a little bit less talked about, but it is in the JLA run of Grant Morrison's run on JLA. Mm-hmm. I think the arc was called World War III. Basically, it's an issue that basically makes me cry every time I read it, because it's written by Grant Morrison, so it has that high-minded sci-fi nonsense that happens, but this entity at the end of the universe called Mageddon decides to it's basically an entity of hate that whenever it passes by a planet, it turns everyone against each other. Every nation, every person just starts trying to kill each other. It just becomes all-out war. It starts making its approach to Earth. Superman goes to face it head on, and he ends up being trapped inside, and things ends up draining the soul out of Superman. He's being tortured for all this time. The way that the problem is solved is the Justice League is trying to figure things out. They have a plan to stop Mageddon, but they need something to stop the armies of these evil races and aliens from killing everyone. So they jerry-rig this villain's weapon, this purple ray, to transfer superpower, to basically hyper evolve everyone on planet Earth at the same time and give everyone on Earth superpowers. And the very first thing they do, and again, this is the moment that I cry every time I read this issue. The very first thing they do when everyone in the world has superpowers is they go to rescue Superman. Wow. Because they want to pay him back for all the times that he saved them.
That's huge. No, that's huge. It's crazy.
And that's what I said. That's a well-written story, and Superman is super, super inspirational. And you have moments like that. And then you have moments where Batman gets Superman's power and is just all he does all day, all night is race around the world, saving everybody he can. That's the other comparison. And that's Batman / Superman. I think it's or Superman / Batman. Some of my favorite comic books because it shows little things like what would happen if. And I mean, this case was one of those cases where you gain something, you lose something, but you can see it Batman had Superman's power and then Superman was still human. And I'm Superman would be a terrible human. He cannot survive as a human. There's no way him being a human,
he would
live
Clark.
for more than...
He went full Clark Kent.
He went full Clark Kent, still tried to save people, got himself hurt real bad, got shot, didn't learn any lessons at the end of it because he got his powers back. So it was I'm fine now. And no one in the Justice League was dude, when you're human... I think I read what you're talking about. I don't remember the one that you're talking about where Batman gets Superman's powers, but I would imagine that the way it ends is that with Batman's paranoia, he starts really taking advantage of those powers and it ends up being a hell for everybody. It ends up being hell for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, because that's the way it works, right? Because ultimately, you give a billionaire Superman powers, it's the worst thing in the world.
You think, oh my god, that's true. That's a good point. That's a very true point. Oh my god.
He was I'm not giving these powers back. Clark, you could have done so much with this. I'm going to use this
whole time. This whole cancer curing robots for kids again.
I bet he didn't rescue one cat. I bet Batman didn't rescue one cat when he had those powers.
Save lots of people though. It's like you said, it is hard, but from as someone who just enjoys these stories as they're told, it's once I step out from it, I can suspend my disbelief while I'm in it, but the minute I get out, my brain goes, "Hey, remember this scene?" One that got me, and I hate when Superman does this. Is he toys with villains who normally get defeated really easily, but he doesn't think ahead like Batman does. And I'll show you this example in the Batman Superman again. Toymaster, forget his name, Toymaster. Right. Superman comes in, Toymaster is all my robots are attacking you. Superman's are we doing this again? Come on, man, whatever. Toymaster's oh no, and he runs back into the back room and Superman just kind of follows him through. He's hey man, just give up. And Toymaster's Superman gets hit by a ray and gets like shrunk into oblivion, right? And I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like
you walked into that one.
Is Goku a good character? Is
Goku
a good character?
Goku's an awful character. We know this.
I just want to make sure there was no.
There is no. We know
there wasn't any hypocrite.
There is no. I will call them out, sir. Goku's a terrible character. I've never liked him. We'll talk about that later. But his son. He regenerated Cell and told his son to go fight him. We'll talk about that. That's bad parenting. Just
honestly, like, when you grow up watching that stuff, you're like, oh yeah, it's kind of.
No, without a doubt, Goku's a bad parent.
Bad parent.
Terrible
for sure.
Where were you this whole time?
All he cares about is the fight. He doesn't care.
I was training.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I mean, situations like that, like, oh, this building is lined with lead. Let me go in. Don't go in. Just do some other type of reconnaissance.
Read the room, man. Read the lead room.
But again, we've seen, like, I think Superman in those moments.
Arrogance.
The writing Superman. No, but again, he does, but he can't die. He doesn't die. Superman does not die.
He doesn't die, but like, okay, same scenario. Batman walks in, Thomas is like, I have your friend Superman. I'm good. Batman's like, nope, you're not gonna press that button.
But again, Batman can die.
So he has to think ahead. He has to be that kind of thing.
That's exactly. Like Batman has to be 12 steps ahead of everybody because if he's not, he's
Superman's
dead.
non-dying is a lot of it has to do with luck. Like a lot of times, like he walked into a kryptonite cloud, and he was like, "Oh, I guess it doesn't affect me now." I'm like, dude.
But we've seen the moment. We've seen what happens when like they try to like give Superman the threat of death, and it never takes. It's basically canon part of the character where death is not a threat that you can give to Superman. He's not someone that has to worry about dying. He either you can beat him to death, he'll come back as he did with the death of Superman.
Except that one guy.
Which guy?
New 52.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, he did not come.
But they just got like another.
They replaced him essentially.
They were with the old version. They took the old version.
They took him out, man. I was like, dude, he did not come back.
But again, that was not Superman, so it's fine.
It's like he felt like Superman. I was along for that ride, and then I was like, "Oh, okay."
But as they established, the real Superman was apparently hiding in the woods with some.
Yeah, with his family and stuff like that. I was not happy about what happened to him. I was like, all right, a lot of
but again, but that happens. Why? Because like they had a bunch of people writing Superman who should not have been writing Superman. Like what they were doing in Action Comics with Grant Morrison and then Greg Pak, they were doing great stuff with Superman. But then in the actual Superman series, because they just have a bunch of people fucking around with this fucking high collar plated armor Superman.
But I actually like the idea of him having armor. Right, because he goes into places where he shouldn't go. We know this. This is what he does, right? He goes into space.
So it goes into
some
the depth of
space where there's no sun. Right, he doesn't take a backup mini sun that he fed to the sun eater that he has in his Fortress of Solitude. I don't forget these things, right? I know he can create little mini suns, and he never takes them along when he's long journeys out into the solar system where there's no sunlight to help him out. Right, then he almost dies. Mm-hmm. Right, and he comes back, and I'm like, what did you learn? You didn't learn a damn thing.
but again, like if a story is being told about Superman like possibly dying, it's not a good story.
What?
Death, like I said, death is not a part of the Superman canon. You're not telling a Superman story if you're trying to use death as a threat to him, right? We're all aware that death is the ultimate equalizer. In every story that is ever told, every story is basically only about two things: love or death. And so if you're not writing about someone falling in love with somebody or like unrequited love, then you're writing about that person like fighting off death for as long as they possibly can. But that does not apply to Superman ever.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Like, do you think he would? You can make different decisions.
And it's been tried before.
Yes, I do. Yeah, if death was a factor for Superman from now on, I think he would be much easier to write, and I think the stories would be a lot more mediocre because of it.
Death is a point. Well, in that case, yeah, death is a point for even Batman. They will shoot him, but he just survived. They will stab him, but he just survives. He will get beat up in a gang fight, but he'll fight back, and then he just survives. So death is an aspect for Batman or for any other mortal hero out there. But for Superman, yeah, it doesn't work. But that's that's fine to me.
We know Batman will never die. We know Captain America. We know Spider-Man. Just by virtue of storytelling, these stories have to go on forever. We know as an audience that they just won't die in the meta sense.
Right.
But because the possibility of death is always there, we always worry just a little bit. Like, is this the moment? Mm-hmm. Like, there's if you're reading stories, like, is this that 1% chance where we actually lose Bruce Wayne, we actually lose Peter Parker for the last time, and he might never show up, because that's always a possibility. But but I think a long time ago, it happened. Actually, no, we know when it happened. We know with the death of Superman and the return of the Superman, that is when it became official. Death is not a factor for Superman anymore. That's when it became canon. No, death.
And they pushed it. They pushed that limit hard.
They pushed it as far as they could, but we know that if you bring back Superman, like, at least then it's not a factor anymore in the storytelling. You cannot threaten us with the death of Superman ever again.
Right? Yeah, that's true.
I don't like it.
I am not a fan.
I don't like it. But it to me, it's I like when the stakes are raised. Right? I want to see, like, this is him. What is he gonna do? And not like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna, things are fine. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine.
I think well, in that case, I think if the stakes are going to be raised, it's going to be what is the takeaway from the citizens of Metropolis or the world? How, like, is he going to change his methods? The story afterwards, not death. That's true, not death. But the stakes would be his connection, his symbol. Is it hope anymore? Is he now a villain of society? I mean, he's a super person, but it's because you're here. All these super villains are here. It's your fault that you caused this. And that will create reverberating effects in a storyline, in the canon of Superman, because that's where the stakes will be high. That's where it matters.
That's where I'm coming from, because I think that when you take death out of the equation, then you've limited yourself to creating so much more creative and interesting stories, because they're not going to the thing that connects every other story is always writing about. They can't use death anymore. They have to use emotion. They have to use connections. They have to use loss and love and all these other things that make the story so much more interesting than whether the hero's going to live or die at the end, even though we all know he's not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I guess I wish they would dive deeper into that, because they rarely go into, like, how Metropolis really feels like everyday man.
I've seen a few here and there. I've seen a few issues here and there. If it's been illustrated in movies or shows, the animated series, that something that was talked about, like either an episode or a comic or an issue before, is brought up later when they talk about Lex Luthor's campaign against Superman, where in the beginning, he's just seen as this crazy billionaire who just hates Superman, but Superman is saving us because he wants to save us. So the comic line would show a transition, or at least a maturity, or not, I wouldn't say maturity, just a digression of, like, where people think all the best about Superman, and think low of Lex Luthor, and then stuff happens, villains happen, collateral damage happens, and then people start listening to Lex Luthor because, in the dialogue that they write for Lex Luthor, it will illustrate, look, hey, listen, this is what I've been telling you from the beginning. And then, of course, there'll be, like, little indicators. Oh, in issue 1 and issue 2. It's like Superman is a menace. You might think we need him, but we don't need him. And then Superman's like, no, I'm the good guy. And then that would be the stakes that I was talking about. That would be something where, as a reader, you're reading it and you're like, in the first issue, you're like, there's no reason to not like Superman. And then by issue number 9 of that same saga, of that same storyline, you're like, oh, this is starting to make sense. But what do? They reboot it, and then it's somewhere. And then they reboot it. Like, okay, Terrance, we got too close.
And Terrance, I'm totally with you on the idea that I wish we would see a lot more stories diving into the emotional impact of someone, of a character, when death is not a factor anymore, of the world around them, and of the emotional connections they have with the world. I definitely want to see more of those stories. I definitely agree with you that, like, there are probably more bad stories than good when it comes to Superman. But I don't think that's the fault of the character. I think that's a fault of humanity. I think the fact that we live in this world since 1986 where dark and gritty is cooler and more impressive, and it's no longer super okay to be that hopeful person that wishes for the best in humanity and should inspire us to be a greater thing. I think that's a fault on our side as to why we can't tell good Superman stories anymore. Mm-hmm. Not because of the idea of Superman.
Yeah, like I said, I love the idea of him. I still read. I love the idea, but I love reading him, and I'm like, someone needs to do something with his. Just bring him back to like a believable suspended disbelief. So like an area
suspended disbelief.
So before we finish up, do we have any opinions? So like we might be at like a stalemate when it comes to whether Superman is good or bad. I don't think anybody's convinced anybody at this point.
Okay. Real quick. Because I didn't think I finished this point. When it comes to when we're being philosophical, ethics, I am a huge proponent in the idea that ethics stems from emotions. So if we're going to say what is good, we have to listen to both sides, the Lex Luthors of the world and the Superman of the world. Superman of the world that says, help everybody, help your neighbor, help your elderly neighbor, help the cat out of the tree, and that's all good stuff. Lex Luthor states that's actually a bad thing because you disable people from even working out their own problems or learning from their mistakes and not having the cat go up the tree again or something like that. It's an interesting balance. I would say Superman is a good character because what he inspires the rest of the world to be good and to be strong and to stand up to bullies and people bigger than you or who can at least hurt you. Yeah, so that's my point.
You mean good in terms of ethics, right? Like whether he's actually just like a stand-up guy.
Yeah, good in terms of ethics, yes. Stand-up guy, yes.
All right. And again, this is where I love the idea of everything they say, right? I think it's good.
Come on, argue for the billionaire. Let's hear it.
I kind of have to go a little bit on Lex's side with this. But the reality is, think of everyone that Superman has put away. And think of the number of times they've escaped and killed a bunch of people after he put them away. And think of the amount of times he put them back away.
Okay.
Right? And I think of the amount of times they escaped and come back and kill the amount of people. Right?
I'm with you.
So yes, theoretically, it's amazing that he's such a good ethical person and justice should prevail and whatnot. But the reality is these people, these supervillains, they wreak so much havoc that he should put them in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, just Phantom Zone away. Just Phantom Zone everybody.
No. But again, I get it, right? We want to believe that there's good good in everyone. Superman can bring it out of them, and then they just come back and just throw it right in his face, and he can't die, so he's okay. But like everyone else.
And for me, I actually disagree with you guys. Like I can totally understand the pragmatist view when it comes to morality and what is good and what is evil. I think. And this might be the Superman that has infected me all these years.
All right.
I think that there is such thing as inherent goodness. There are things that deep down in our souls we are aware that are things that we should not be doing, right? It feels like we know it's bad to kill a person. We know it's bad to steal from a person. There are things that we inherently, whether we enjoy those things or not, whether we're whenever someone doesn't feel those things, we always give them some kind of mental faults that, right? There's something stopping them from feeling that same way, right? It is not our natural state to just be killing and murdering each other. That's not how humanity works.
Marcus's face disagrees with you, and I also disagree with you.
No, I mean, I got history on my side there too, guys. Like, you can try to tell yourself it's like The Walking Dead.
That'd be a separate podcast. That'd be a separate podcast. Talk about that.
You could try to tell yourself that it's like The Walking Dead, where everyone will just be out for themselves in the end of the day.
I didn't watch that show.
We've had multiple apocalypses on Earth already. We're already aware that it's not a good idea to just kill anyone you see in the middle of an apocalypse, because that person might have been a doctor. That person might know how to make a battery. That person might know how to cook a meal. Like, you can't just assume the worst in somebody when an apocalypse happens. The only reason we exist here today is because people came together in times of stress and horribleness. That's the only reason we exist, is because people came together and did the best.
Right, they came together and they killed animals that would have otherwise killed us. Got it.
There we go.
So there you go.
We got ourselves out of the food chain.
Right.
I totally agree with you.
That's what happened, right? Because otherwise, guess what? We still have to kill to survive.
We killed enough people in the past to make sure our bloodline stayed around. I see what you're saying. That's a good idea. I'm with you on that.
Where I'm at with it is I'm definitely at the anarchist point of view where it's like I think that eventually you can trust humanity to do the best thing, where like our natural state is knowing how to treat each other and doing it in a way where the most amount of people can be as happy as possible.
And it's going to
take a long ass time to get there. It's going to take a long time to get there.
It's a state of privilege.
I see it as
I'm aware that this point of view is going to get me killed.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
see that as this. I see it as we're alive by the skin of our teeth. We just made it. I find that we're here right now, but let's not gloat. I feel like we just made it, and I feel like we're here. You know, whether it's a roll of the dice that we're the ones even born, it's a roll of the dice that no harm, terrible harm, no terminal harm has been inflicted by us by other apocalypse-loving people. So I say that we're alive by either the luck, skin of our teeth, right now, here and there. Because, I haven't seen The Walking Dead, but let's hear them out.
As of today, we have Superman luck.
Yes, there we go. We have Superman luck. Yes, that's perfect.
And I will be here assuming the best in humanity and be called naive for it, and I'm fine with it.
I love it.
All right, and that's why we're friends, because you have someone like me. So you're the Superman, I'm the Batman. I will be like, nah, we need to. And Marcus, you can be Wonder Woman, because I sense great strength in you.
There you go. Thank you. Yes.
He looks like he's been molded from clay. It works out.
Perfect. Left in the oven too long.
I think with that is a perfect time to end on this. We've been talking for a long ass time. It's going to be a pain in the ass for me to edit, but it was totally worth it. I hope you guys had a good time. Do you guys have any final thoughts on this before we head out?
Yes, I have a final thought on the topic. Yes. I would say that I would definitely say that Superman is okay. Superman is a great symbol if you use him for hope, for strength. Superman as a character is great because he's malleable for almost any storyline. He can either be the epitome of good, which has always been very like where everyone goes to, or you make storylines where he's the worst bad, or someone not as strong, or someone not as bad, that kind of thing. And I will forever enjoy talking about Superman. So that's just my thing. So that's my point.
All right, Terrance?
My thoughts are that I think that if you can suspend your belief, you will have an excellent time reading Superman. I know I do. It's just one of those characters that you can get behind almost 100% of the time, right? He stands for all the things. He stands for the best things we hope in ourselves. It's just when it's run against reality of what he can do versus what he does with with his power, it just doesn't add up for someone like me. From a pragmatist perspective, right? But I think that he was and always will be one of the greatest superheroes that have ever been written. If you don't look too hard. And with that, and I sincerely believe that we can probably create our own. We should create our own superhero character and see
you would have a pamphlet of a cartoon, a comic, where it's just like, here's the problem. Here, I got a power to solve it. Boom, we're done out of here. Like every one of your obstacles of your thing will just take an hour, and that's it.
I think we won't make the same mistake that they made with Superman character, right? He won't be too overpowered.
Well, I was gonna ask you guys, because whenever that happens, whenever someone creates a Superman character, it just ends up becoming it becomes either a blatant ripoff that everyone's totally aware of, or Captain Marvel, or Shazam as he's called now.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous. Whatever. That's so freaking ridiculous.
Or someone writes that version of Superman to show how this person is totally not Superman and why this character is actually terrifying. And so that's how you get your Plutonians and your Homelanders and your Sentries.
Oh, when they do that though, yeah, that's
by
fun.
giving them superpowers and then making them evil.
Which I'll tell you right now, I have a problem with when people say that's exactly what we're really like. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't say that, because you're gonna have people believing you.
Yeah.
But I think with that, I think this was a conversation well had that led absolutely nowhere, which is my favorite kinds of conversation. My favorite kinds of conversation. This is excellent. Thank you guys so much, and we out.
Likewise. Thank you.
And that is the episode, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Whew, that was a fun one. That was a long one. I apologize for the length of time, but for conversations like this that really drop just the geekery and the nonsensical arguments of this kind of podcast, this is kind of the epitome of that. Just conversations that lead nowhere and is just about the camaraderie of having them in the first place. That is not anything. I did not say anything right there. Just ignore the last 10 seconds. It's fine. But thank you for listening. This has been the In My Defense podcast. Big thank you to Marcus and Terrance for guesting on. If you liked what you heard, feel free to rate us on iTunes or whatever kind of engagement there is with whatever podcatcher that you happen to be listening to. Leave us a review, help other people find the show. If you want to send any direct thoughts to the show, email inmydefensepodcast@gmail.com. That is always available. I am Chris Rivera on Twitter and Instagram. If you ever want to reach out to me directly, check out inmydefensepodcast.com. Like us on Facebook. And hopefully, folks, for the near future, I will see you next week with another geek on the In My Defense podcast.